What's up, guys? It's Blue. This is going to be my first Mythic Kin'Garoth kill. In a minute, I'm going to let the video roll and talk about the mechanics, how I handle them, and then explain the decisions I'm making throughout the fight. My intent with this video is to make us all better players by talking about how I handle certain mechanics, but also talk about the mistakes I make during the fight in hopes that when you do it, you don't make the same ones. So here we go with the fight. One thing to remember is that on pool, you're going to want to use a Potion of Prolonged Power because that's going to carry you all the way to the first ad phase, and you'll be able to use that potion to be able to fight those first ads. And second, don't use any of your cooldowns. Don't use a Warbreaker if you're running out of Colossus Smash. Don't use a Battle Cry on pool like you usually would, because it's much more important to use your cooldowns when the ads spawn to be able to get that extra damage. CC does Ruiner, just go ahead and avoid that just like normal. Always going to avoid Ruiner and always going to avoid the bombs that he has rolling around. But in Mythic, the bombs are going to do a lot more damage, and hitting one at the wrong time could have drastic effects on your group. So right here you see, charge in, I'm spec'd into Avatar, so I drop my Ravager for the burst, Battle Cry, Avatar, and start going with my rotation. If you have an Alias proc during this, it's going to be a huge increase to your damage. Your Alias is going to hit for probably over 7, 8, 9, 10 million, and then your Mortal Strike following that, if you're able to get a Tactician proc, is going to hit for at least 12 million. That's what mine were usually hitting. So that's going to be a huge spike to your damage, but this is where Arms is going to make up most of our damage. When I was in the fight, I wasn't the top DPS in the group the entire fight because between ad phases, my damage would go down a lot. But at the end of the fight, when I looked at top damage to the ads themselves, the priority targets, I was definitely the top because Arms has so much burst. Here you see I'm taking out the Decimates, still focusing down that ad. Being able to kill him is important because it does damage to the boss and then just gets rid of the ad himself. And then getting over to where our group is stacked up for the DPS phase on the boss. One thing to notice is that the initialize phase where he spawns ads is exactly 2 minutes apart. So if you time everything perfectly, and I mean like don't waste a second in between waiting for a Tactician proc, but just time it completely perfect, the second your Battle Cry comes off cooldown, you can use it again during this phase, and then you'll be able to use it also when he starts his initializing phase. But if you get to the ad late, it's going to throw off the timing, and you don't want to have that thrown off or anything like that. So just make sure that you're able to get your first Battle Cry, and if you're using Ravager, get your Ravager off, and that way you're able to have that right off the bat for the next initializing phase. And if not, don't even risk using it during the fight. It's not worth it for that DPS just to mess up being able to kill this ad extremely fast, because having him down as fast as possible is going to be the most important thing for your group, so you don't want a lot of them running around. So here we go, doing the second ad phase again, just doing the standard rotation for burst. Avatar is going to be up every single time, and you always want to have your Battle Cry and your Ravager if you're spec'd into it for when you're going at it. Plus, having Warbreaker just to get that extra Shattered Defenses buff on a Mortal Strike is very important. Just saving every cooldown you have to be able to kill the ads as fast as possible is the most important part about this fight. Second most important, also most important, is not hitting any of the mechanics. The bombs are going to do a ton of damage. Ruiner is going to one-shot you. So always have to keep your head pointed towards the right. You see my screen is always going to the right. I don't care what's to the left of me because the balls aren't going to be coming from the left. And then make sure you're not running into any bombs. Also avoid the little pillars that he leaves after he does his reverberating strikes, because those are going to do extra damage. But the balls are the most important thing. Here you see one's coming around. We all stack up in melee. That way it can roll right past. And that's what you're going to do throughout the whole fight. Stay as close to the boss as you possibly can. That way, majority of the balls aren't going to spawn in the range to be able to run you over when you're there. But you do have to keep an eye out. There's going to be some in this fight where we make the call out, one's in melee, and you'll watch the whole group run around it. Reverberating strikes, if you leave the Decimator one last, that's going to do a lot of damage, but it's better to hit a couple people with your reverberating strike than it's going to be to hit a bomb. So if you have to hit a couple people with it, go for it. Just don't hit the bomb, because hitting 1 or 2 people with that extra 2-3 million damage isn't as bad as hitting the entire raid with the bomb detonation damage. So we're about to have the ad phase again. My Battle Cry and Ravager are about to come off cooldown. Avatar is already off cooldown, so now I'm just going to start positioning myself. We have Hero for this one, so we burn him really fast. Because I wasn't positioned well, I used my Heroic Leap to get there. And I'm just going to go with my burst rotation again, Warbreaker early, that way I can get a Mortal Strike in the Battlecry window just to get that extra damage, make sure it gets the 100% crit chance from Battlecry, and then the extra 20% damage because of Corrupted Blood of Zakjaz, or however you say that. And then got Execute popping up again, just doing everything you can to do as much damage. Watch out for the bombs, 100% all the time. Most important thing, don't take a Warlock Portal if you're going to hit a bomb. That's just hands down the most important thing. It's just not hitting bombs that will wipe you. So killing the last robot alive, and then we're going to switch to the boss. Stay away from your tank, that way you don't hit with a Forging Strike, and just go back to your damage. See, I got my cooldowns coming off in about 10 seconds. So if I want to, if I have it timed right, usually if there's more than 50 seconds when they come off cooldown, I would use them. If I got there late and there was 51, 50, 49 seconds left until the next protocol, I'm just going to let it go because it's more important to have them there than it is to have them just for standard DPS phase. We're going to get the damage on the boss in time. It's just having those down is much more important. Getting that burst right off the bat. Because like I said, arms is going to do a lot of damage, so your group's going to get used to you having that damage. And if you don't have your burst doing 100% extra damage because of timing, that's going to take a toll, and the ad's not going to die in time. It's just right here doing the same thing. We got the execute phase now, so I'm just hitting that as hard as I can. There's a couple decimates. I use my die by the sword just because there's so many balls going around that I didn't want to hit a ball, didn't want to have any accidental mistake that's going to wipe the group. So me and a couple other people just stacked up and used our personal cooldowns to be able to survive that. And right now just trying to burn the boss down. We have Apocalypse Protocol, or initializing, that's what it is, starting. And got to burn down the ads one more time. So I got my Ravager, Battlecry, Avatar, Mortal Strike going in, just doing as much damage as I can to the ad. You'll see my damage is definitely going to spike back up every single time we go into this. My damage goes up, and then when we go back out of it, it goes back down. I'm only doing like maybe 1.4 without having Rend or anything like that in my rotation and having Avatar built. But when I get into this, I'm doing a ton of damage, hitting like a truck, and that's the most important thing about this fight, is killing those ads as fast as possible. So we're getting back onto the boss and the second ad, and we're just going to kill the ad, try to get into a safe zone, stand in that, and avoid as much mechanics as you can. I used my commanding shout just to help the group survive a little bit more, and we made the call to just kill the boss. So now I'm just trying to avoid the orbs, have hit a couple people with the decimation, that's fine. Just kill the boss, do your execute rotation, that's what we're here for. And the boss is going to fall down here nice and easy. One biggest tip I can give you is always keep your camera tilted to the right. That way you can see the bombs that are coming in. If you're looking to the left, you're wrong because there's nothing going to come that way. If you're looking straight on, you're wrong because nothing's going to hit you straight on other than a Ruiner. You can see that out of the left side of your screen. So always keep looking right. That way you can see the bombs coming. And then save your cooldowns always for the initializing Apocalypse Protocol phase, because that's where you're going to get the most out of your build with your damage, and that's the most important thing about arms, is getting that damage off. And that's it for this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comment if you have any questions or notice anything that I might have done wrong in the fight. It's only going to help us all get better when they read the comment and you're like, hey, you should have done this, it would have done more damage. That's going to help out the community, make us all better. Other than that, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys next time.